Hey guys, how's it going? It's Target here. Welcome to my NHL 15 review. I thought I'd wrap this game up by going through all the aspects of the game, good, bad, whatever, and giving my honest review on it. So stick around to see what I have to say about NHL 15 for Xbox One and PS4. Oh lordy, what can I say about NHL 15 for the next-gen consoles? To be honest, not a lot of good really. It's almost time to dive into NHL 16, and I thought it would be the appropriate time to do a full-on review of what EA iced this year as their primary product. In order to truly appreciate the disappointment of this year's title, we need to go back, way back, to when development information began to surface. It all started back in July of 2014 when EA announced true hockey physics, which included collision interactions between all 12 players on the ice, including teammates. They also talked about a new puck engine that would make the puck play more like a real hockey puck in a real hockey game, bouncing and rolling on it. Then came Vision AI. EA has always strived to improve their AI year after year because regardless of what game mode you are playing, AI are basically part of the action 99% of the time, and having an engine that behaves at least a little bit realistically is a must. After that, they announced what they call the Living Worlds, an improvement on the crowds and presentation of the game. From fans dressed up in jerseys to the full-on costumes and war paint, the crowds truly were to have a life of their own. They also announced a new commentary team of Eddie Olczyk and Doc Emmerich, a very much welcome change on a bland and played out commentary team. It was actually one of the changes I was seeking in my NHL 15 changes video. Along with the new celebrations and new deking system to round out the impressive list of changes, the entire EA NHL community was eagerly awaiting a polished and immersive product for the next gen. People were selling their 360s and PS3s, buying ones and PS4. The change was on. And then tragedy struck. And the collective EA NHL community went into panic mode. There was looting on the streets, raping and pillaging, riots, chaos, police brutality. Alright, maybe it didn't go that far, but the keyboard warriors and entire YouTube and Twitch communities were in shock. On August 19th, EA officially announced the omission of EASHL from NHL 15 on the Xbox One and the PS4. An absolutely disastrous move and announcement on EA's part. Obviously, this is probably not news to you at this point, but who knows what rocks you might be living under. Anyway, after finding out that the Xbox One would not include EASHL, but the 360 would, I decided I would buy both versions of the game so that I could continue to play the game mode I love so much, while at the same time receiving the gameplay experience EA promised me. So let's dive in and take a look at the game modes included on the next-gen console versions of NHL 15. Included in the game at launch you had Play Now, Play Online, Be a GM, Be a Pro, Practice Mode, Hockey Ultimate Team, and NHL Moments Live. With a content update that released in September, the game saw the addition of Playoff Mode, and then in October it saw Online Team Play added, but we'll get into those here shortly. Play Now is pretty much the basic run-of-the-mill offline mode. Jump into the game and play as your favorite team against the computer or against one of your friends. You get a good sampling of the gameplay changes EA put into the game here. Selecting Play Online, you would expect to find all the online modes you would typically receive when playing an EA Sports NHL game. You know, online versus, online shootout, GM connected, OTP, etc. Nope, all you get is online versus, and then in October we got OTP as well. No shootout mode, no GM connected, nothing. What an absolute joke. We aren't even talking about incredibly complex systems here. In fact, there isn't even a shootout mode anywhere in the game. The closest you come to a shootout mode is practice mode, where EA drops the ball again. And we'll get into that as well here shortly. Then there's Be a GM mode. This is where things get really interesting. The Be a GM mode in previous titles have always been quite in-depth and complex, making it a rather rich simulation experience for Joe Blow. This year, a child smashing a cake could master the system. To start things off, out of the box, Be a GM had absolutely no way for you as the GM to draft players. I'll let that sink in for a second. How can you be the GM of a team and not draft players? Insane! EA did fix this later in October when they added the draft with a fancy new timer system, so you could pretend you weren't playing a game that was simply an empty shell of its former self. Also missing from Be a GM preseason games, minor league team management, player search. It's insane. They also retooled the scouting system, which is now a goddamn nightmare if you ask me. The entire menu system in this game is clumsy beyond measure, but in Be a GM you probably feel it the most. Not many people play game after game when doing Be a GM. It is typically a simulation for 99% of the time. But EA also left out Game Tracker, which lets you slowly simulate through each game at a pace that would make the simulation experience more exciting for the user. Now, You have to either play it or simulate right through the game with no chance for intervention. Big step backwards. In fact, to do any kind of long-term simulation, you need to open up the full calendar view, which is all right for the most part, except you lose track of where your team sits in the standings. They also took out your ability to track team scoring leaders on the fly by keeping it posted on the main page for when you simulate. What a joke. You'll find that the jokes become more and more frequent as this review continues. Let's move on before I get too frustrated. Be a pro! Yay, right? Wrong. Be a pro is literally be a pro. For those of you familiar with this game mode, is what preceded Live the Life. You start at the NHL draft or choose the team of your liking. There's no CHL or Memorial Cup. It's bare bones, cut and dry, be a pro. The game mode that absolutely nobody played because it was so awful and boring. There are no real shifts when you get into the game. You can call your own number absolutely any effing time you feel like it and play 35 to 40 minutes a night. There's no hockey shop so that you can boost your players so that they are at least on par with a fourth line NHLer. Oh right, did I mention you start out with an overall equal to that of a newborn baby? Good luck being effective with those kinds of odds. Man, brutal. Now I mentioned practice mode earlier as the only real form of anything that remotely resembles a shootout mode, and it truly is. Actually, practice mode isn't even really practice mode. Practice mode used to consist of set plays and scenarios to hone your skills. You could create custom plays for use in other game modes. Now it's just a skater and a goalie. It's the ultimate place for little doucher kids to practice their Lone Ranger BS, where teamwork isn't even a speck on the horizon anymore. Now we move on to Hockey Ultimate Team, the only reason anyone actually plays this game on the next gen. It's the same model as in previous years, but we have taken away a couple of things that people actually enjoyed. Did you see that one coming? Yeah, I know. Now you can't play your friends in a friendly wager match, or just for shits and giggles. You can't partake in any offline or online tournaments that they offer. Those tourneys were really the best way to earn coins through playing because you got bonuses. It is clear with this game that EA has one focus when it comes to their products, and this is nothing new, and that's money. The fact of the matter is that HUT makes EA money, and tons of it too. EA SHL, be a GM, be a pro online shootout, they don't generate any revenue other than the $69.99 price tag the game comes with. HUT, on the other hand, is a cash effing cow. The starting price for a decent pack in HUT is about $2 to $3 depending on the pack. Then they release special edition packs loaded with a bunch of duds you'll never use or even come close to breaking even with. Those ones will cost you up to, wait for it, $20 for one pack! That's insane! So obviously EA peddles the shite out of those packs by releasing amazing Team of the Week cards and milestone gems, so you will throw your entire paycheck or allowance into their mini casino of disappointment and broken dreams. I read somewhere that one guy budgets himself $200 a month for HUT. That's $200 that could be spent on clothes or food or an actually rewarding experience. I can guarantee you he isn't the only one, and I can guarantee you he isn't the highest either. And that's sad. But EA has created this world where that is okay. They created this world where you either have to buy the packs you want or spend hours and hours and hours playing and trading, playing and trading.
Pimps and whores. Pimps and whores.
And then they crack down on coin trading by saying it ruins the experience for other users. EA, you ruin the experience for everyone. You create the environment you live in, and from necessity comes opportunity. The fact of the matter is, EA can't get a piece of the coin buying pie and thus becomes upset and throws the good china all over the place. But really, this is a discussion for another day. I mentioned earlier that it can be quite cumbersome with the menus. In HUT, it can get really awkward when it comes to trading, buying, selling, assigning to active lineup, searching, everything. It's all brutally clumsy. I just cannot stand the menu system in this game. Everything takes one extra step, which over time is a lot of wasted time clicking and toggling and tabbing and effing screaming. Finally, we get to NHL Moments Live. It was a novel idea when EA released it a couple of years ago, but to be honest, it's a little worn out. There isn't much to this mode, and to make matters worse, whenever you play a moment based on a single skater's performance and you're forced to play as that player, similar to Be a Pro, there's absolutely no way to change the camera view. You have no choice but to follow the player's every head movement and slowly be introduced to a world of confusion and nausea. I feel like I need Gravol just thinking about it. Maybe a whiskey to wash it down and take my sorrows with it. I mentioned OTP earlier, saying it was introduced to the game in October. The game mode is ridiculous. It doesn't even deserve the time I'm giving it now. Now let me be clear, this is not EA SHL. OTP has been in every version of EA NHL since EA SHL has existed, but the fact is that no one ever plays it. It's just stupid, and on the next gen it is brutal. There are hundreds of glitches and problems that occur in the gameplay that I can't even begin to list them and expect this video to be anywhere near an appropriate viewing time. But to name a few, if there's a penalty shot awarded in the game, no matter who it is inflicted upon, the centerman always takes the penalty shot. The goalies are AI controlled, no ifs, ands, or buts about that. In menus, there are no microphone indicators, so you have absolutely zero clue who is talking. Trying to play with friends is harder than curing Ebola. The lag created by EA servers is so tremendous that winning a face-off with any method other than the tie-up is damn near impossible. The lag also creates hundreds of other problems during the game, like shooting, deking, passing, poke checking, body checking, shot blocking. You name it, it's impossible. Now, the lag doesn't happen every single time, and probably for every user it happens more or less frequently. But for me, I have played about 10 games with it so far, and maybe about 2 or 3 have been lag-free. In addition to all the problems that OTP has with the game mode itself, it also has to deal with all the game mechanic problems as well. From players helplessly yet comically running into each other, falling over each other, climbing on each other, dogpiling each other, to the need for spamming poke check because the skater has the puck control of a fat kid defending cake, to the numerous goalie interference penalties that go uncalled, to the offsides the AI takes all the time, to the poor AI choices made in the defensive zone draws. Oh, it just never ends. Then this brings us to the most annoying feature of all time. For some reason, some fine specimen over at EA decided that if he could change one thing and one thing only, he would change the much needed overhaul of the in-game strategy system. Look at this debacle. In order to change lines, you have to press either B or X. B forwards and X for defense. When you do this, it brings up a sub-menu in the bottom right corner, and one of the options is strategy. To change the strategy, you press either RB or R1, depending on the console, which is all fine and dandy until you need to do any effing stick checking of any kind whatsoever. Good luck playing defense. You are trapped in a loop where you have to wait until your line change box completely disappears before you can reactivate your stick checking or stick lifting. How much more crap can we pack into this game? Now, I can understand oversights happen, but the fact that this isn't fixed yet or was never fixed at all is a goddamn joke. And to be honest, from what I've seen from NHL 16, the very few little tidbits, this appears to be in the game still and remains as is. Overall, I give next gen NHL 15 an absolutely disastrous and lowly 3 out of 10. The only reason why it has 3 is because of the gameplay, the gameplay appearance and the playability factor. The rest is shite.
That is one big pile of shit.
Anyway, guys, that's it from NHL 15 review. I hope you enjoyed it. NHL 16 is coming very soon. Remember, guys, I'm going to have a whole bunch of great content coming for that game as we wind down here from NHL 15. There's not going to be too much more. We only got a few more weeks till 16 comes out, so stay tuned to my channel for lots. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at TargetAud18. You can click the link down below. Facebook, Target Audience 18. Link is also down in the description below, guys. If you ever want to hit me up with a question, you can ask me on any of those forums, okay? Until next time, I'm Target Audience, and I'll catch you guys out on the ice.